Hi, welcome to today's video, and today I thought, as we've recently crossed into July, we've seen through the first half of the year, so I thought I'd have a look back at my images from the first half of the year, January to June, and give you my thoughts on them and potentially how YouTube has affected the end results. So that's coming up right now. So 2018's been another, I was going to say another funny start of the year. It's been another stop-start kind of year. Early in the winter, I was pretty much stuck at home for quite a while. Lack of funds, I couldn't get my car repaired. I was busy with other work. It really just, early in the year, just wasn't a photography kind of time. Circumstances in life dictates that, you know, photography isn't always the main focus, and you've got to deal with other things and have other priorities, and that was very much the case this year. And because the photography was so slow towards the back end of 2017, decided to jump on the bandwagon of YouTube and try and expand the brand by producing new video content. So I jumped into YouTube, and here we are, nearly 6 months in, as I started later in January. But yeah, it's been great so far. It's been fun, it's been challenging, and I haven't been as productive as what I hoped. I hoped to do something weekly, and that just hasn't happened. So I had to put myself on the spot and start the live streams, which you can see every Tuesday, 7:30 UK time. So I've got myself set to do one of them a week to keep the content flowing, because I haven't been able to get out and about to make vlog style content. So you may find that there'll be a few more videos of me just sitting here talking to you about various things. But yeah, it's been great fun, but I have found that it has kind of affected my images. Not really in a negative way, but in a how often I get these images out, because usually before YouTube came along, I would go out shooting, you know, maybe it's every other day, or maybe it's a block of 3 days, a couple of sunsets a year or whatever, or a day out of the weekend, just grab half an hour, say after dinner, grab some data and then spend my evenings working on them. And certainly one of the ways YouTube's affected is that I've been retaining images for certain times to go with a certain vlog, or to be basically to be processed during my live streams. So it's been challenging to almost change the way I'm working, because I was always very much a case of I would go out shooting and come back and edit immediately, just go through them, pick out images that would go together well, and then spend my evenings just processing that. I've got now better to do, so you know, processing is pretty much what I spend my evenings doing. Because I was getting out so little and having to produce a live stream every Tuesday, I am holding back from editing to make sure I've got something to edit on a Tuesday night. For example, tonight's episode, which I'll link here or here, whichever side it is, I'm planning on re-editing an image from 2016. Partly because of that is because I've almost edited everything that I've shot over the last fortnight, and got the data, you know, got images from the data that I thought was quality. So it's been tricky to refrain from having to edit stuff. So anyways, so before I rabbit on far too long, we're going to go and look through some images. Right, okay, first image up was shot during my ICM in the snow vlog. It was after that horrendously bad snowstorm. Well, we were stuck in the village for a week. Strangely enough, I'm here talking about ICM photography. It's a straight, ordinary, black and white, square crop image. This is what I used to do a lot of. Certainly one of my favourite images from the beginning of the year, and a bit of a hark back to what I used to shoot. And this second image I am conscious that I do shoot a lot of warm toned images, lots of yellows, lots of reds, lots of oranges. So I was very much I am aware that I do this, so I've had to kind of change the base colour that I start an image off with. So with this one, I very much gave it a very strong blue cast to start with, and then ran it through all my usual processing tricks, which you'll see plenty of if you watch my live streams. This is one of 3 crops I made. One that just was quite nice with the horizon line at the pretty much at the very top, but it crops nicely as a square as well. And the next image is a very abstract shape. One way I do like to work is to abstract the landscape. Ultimately, I am looking to create something else from the landscape that isn't the landscape in front of us. But sometimes I'm really just looking to make geometric shapes. So this is a couple of frames blended together of some sand dunes down by the coast, and it's basically one shot's taken almost straight on with a bit of movement, and one shot's taken with the camera on a slant with movement, and they're blended together to make this triangular shape, and I think it just works really quite nicely, mixed together with my usual exposure blending and processing. It's given this deep red. It was shot at sunset, so there was, you know, that you can still make use of that warmer light. Quite a satisfying image to make. So next we have something from the same evening. I mean, here I was trying to create some huge dramatic landscape, you know, almost like a hero image. The bit smudge at the back, I'm calling it a smudge, is Bamburgh Castle, looking from the south. And with a lot of my images, they are very much inspired by paintings. You'll obviously know that I am inspired by the works of Turner. One of my favourite paintings ever, or images of any kind of media, is his image of Norham Castle. It features in my Norham vlog, which I'll stick a card up for here. And that's kind of the kind of thing I was aiming for, and just this one just didn't work out in that way, but I did manage to produce quite a nice image, and I was quite happy with it. I do feel the foreground is a bit too dark, and it may be something that I have to return to reprocess from the very beginning and just see how things come together. I'm sure with a bit more time I can get something closer to what I was hoping to achieve here, but I just haven't had the time to go back into it to have another go. Next one is a very subtle image, and again it is from the same evening. I do find that this happens a lot. You go to a location, you can get extremely varied images using ICM and using multiple exposures and all these kind of little tricks and styles. You can create some extreme variances on what was actually there. This image again is of Bamburgh Castle, and it's again inspired by the works of Turner. I think it's a painting of a lock. This one it's almost like a watercolor wash, and that's you know, purposefully that's what I was going for. Next is an image from the Norham blog, which I linked previously, and whilst I went there to produce a specific image from a specific location. So yeah, I didn't set out to make this image, but is very much one of my favourite images of the year so far. Next one is from the same day but different location. Looking at this image and the next one that's coming along, you may think that I shot on a pretty rubbishy kind of day. It was bright blue skies, barely a cloud in the sky, sun bleaching down, middle of the day, light was as harsh as anything, and I did think I would get absolutely nothing from the two shoots that I did, Norham and Dodo Stone Circle, which we're looking at now. and it was just really nice to have that challenge to command the camera to be able to get the data that I hoped to get to be able to work on later on. It's all about getting the quality of data to be able to work with in this style. So this was a good challenge to get good data from such bad conditions. So I was just really pleased to be able to get the basis of a few images from this day, this being one of them. And this one is actually just part of the way through a series where I end up making the next image. This one. And this one is pretty much my favourite of the year so far. It's exactly the same data as from the previous image, but this one has been processed something like 7 times. Took us hours before I got it to the point where I actually liked it, and I think it's ended up being an incredibly powerful and very pleasing image. This was also a case of knowing that from the initial data there was an image to come from this. Just unfortunately it took several hours and seven different versions before I actually ended up with that finished image. I just had to keep on pushing it and pushing it and pushing it until this image came out. So really satisfied by the end of it. So pleased that it came out. I knew from pretty much the word go, not maybe on the back of the camera, but certainly once I had everything loaded into Lightroom, I knew there was an image there, and I just needed to be brought out. This next one is the same location, just from slightly further back, really highlighting the standing stones as they sit on the crest of the hill. So yeah, another image that's, I think, is quite successful. Nowhere near as good as the previous image in my mind, but one I'm quite happy with, and I'd be quite happy to make available as prints, etc. Next one is, again, as I mentioned at the start of the video, is that the way my work's had to flow through YouTube whilst I've been doing the live streams, is I've held images back to process in live streams. So this is another one that was processed in a live stream, and maybe it's one of the ones that actually worked in a live stream, because they don't always. I do try to keep the live streams fairly close to an hour. Some have gone on quite a bit longer, but I was just really wanting to get an image of the poppies of Bamborough again this year. I've done it pretty much every year for the last 6 or 7 years, and this image has ended up being my Bamborough poppies of 2018, because everything else I shot after this was rubbish. A pretty abstract image. I even put this version and another version out on Twitter together and asked people to comment on which one they preferred. The majority chose the other one, but it's my art, damn it, so therefore I preferred this one. Just that extra explosion of orange and reds that I really liked. It's another great favourite of mine from the year. Now this next one is an image made at Beamish Museum, and it's one I worked very hard on in post. I had a desire to create an old landscape. I could do that by going to Beamish Museum, because it's got all these old landscapes. This being the earliest one, which is set around about 1820. This landscape very much is in a time that I kind of wish I could visit. So I went there purely to capture this Georgian landscape, because it's roughly based on the time of your Constables and your Turners, these great English painters who created amazing work before Britain got too industrialised and lost that quaint but probably very, very harsh way of rural life. And barring a few small issues, I thought I've done pretty well with the very limited time I had. So I had something to work with, and I've spent a good while in post to get this image to how it is, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's just taken quite a bit of work. And finally is an image that I made on the summer solstice on the 21st of June, and it's a view of Bamburgh Castle, which if you know my work then you will know that I've shot it a lot. So I've never actually shot that view before. The lowering sun was lighting up the foreground beautifully. Looked amazing. If I could get some quality data, I'd be able to get a decent image out of it. So this took a few edits, but I feel like I've got an image the way it's processed. Instead of it being a bright blue sky with no clouds, I've actually used other elements in the landscape to create a bit of cloudage. So I thought that worked quite well. So I've just been putting this video together, and I've just realised that one, it goes on a little bit, so thank you very much if you've gotten this far, but also I never recorded an outro, so here we are. Thank you very much for watching. I'm so glad you've stuck with it right through to the end. I'll see you on Tuesday night for Tuesday night edits, and I'll see you in the next video. Till then, see ya. I'm Andy Gray, and you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram on @AndrewSGray, and visit my website andrewsgray.photography.